comes. Ojo's just going to stand with it. And that's it. The fourth in a row by the Cavaliers. And maybe none of them tougher earned than this. In it comes. Ojo's just going to stand with it. And that's it. The fourth in a row by the Cavaliers. And maybe none of them tougher earned than this one over a very game and determined Menchville Monarchs team.
Yeah, Menchville had an opportunity.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And good Saturday morning to all of you out there, and welcome to another installment of 757 Sports Talk on Copa Sports TV with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield. Apologies about some of the technical issues there, but we are on the air with you to talk about all things sports. A lot happening. Once Coach unmutes himself, you'll get to hear what he has to say. He's got the little mute button, so when he starts talking, nothing's going to be heard. Oh, there it goes. He fixed it. Good morning, sir. How are you on this 9th day of May, Mother's Day weekend? And we've got a lot of retirements to talk about, but not yours.
No, not mine. The coach greets all. Sometimes silence says a lot. Sometimes silence is golden. Sometimes it'd be nice to mute your mic, but that's another story. And it is Mother's Day weekend. Take care of your mother. Be blessed if she's still on this earth with you, because the alternative is not very good. But looks like a good day to happen. And yes, some retirements that the old 1-2 punch hit us all this week.
Yeah, let's start there, because the longtime girls basketball coach, this was rumored for, at least 2 or 3 months, and it was one of the worst kept secrets in the world. But whenever news like this does officially come out, it can shock and stun people. There's a little shock factor or shock effect from them. And this one having to do with Darnell Dozier, the legendary coach at Princess Anne for girls basketball. 31 seasons, 16 state titles. So you do the math right there. He's getting a state title within every 2 seasons. And in fact, he has records galore. It would take us too long to mention all of them on this particular episode of the program. But what we can tell you is that this man won nearly, and we do mean nearly, 800 games at the helm of Princess Anne. Think about that. His record, his accomplishments were insane, to say the least. And, of course, his past team closes out the season undefeated, state championship. They were the only, if I'm not mistaken, Ed, were they not the only undefeated girls or boys basketball team this past year in VHSL hoops? I think they were. I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah, after playoffs and all, I think you're right.
Only one that did not have a blemish on its resume. But he is done hanging up the big whistle at PA. You think of all the greats he's coached, a couple of WNBA players, including, as the WNBA got underway this weekend, Isaiah James and Elizabeth Williams leap to mind. But what can you say about this man who did it all? As we mentioned, 31 seasons, 793 wins, just 59 losses. So you do the math here. We'll do it on the fly. 793 plus 59, which means you go 793 divided by 852. Guy won 93.1% of his games. It's bat crazy. 16 state titles and 71 straight to close out his VHSL Hall of Fame career. And yes, he's already in the VHSL Hall of Fame. While he was active, he was inducted, which is rare in itself.
The numbers, you laugh when you hear the numbers, because we always joke that it's like Madden football, NBA Live, whatever you want to say. He found ways to win it. Close game, blowout game, whatever game. He did it his way. Just, you're right. Superlatives galore for this man. People that didn't know him sometimes had a negative attitude towards him. If you know him, he can joke with the best of them. He come up with some good ones. I mean, I have nothing but all the regard for him, not just as the coach, but as the person. Yes, he was tough. Don't forget, he was a drill sergeant in the military. So that's his demeanor. And as long as his girls are okay with it, and the rest of us should be with it also. And yeah, it was rumored, and you kind of figured at some point. I kind of thought maybe one more year because of the youngster
Micah Ojo.
Yeah, Micah has a senior year to go, but there's another rumor involving her. So, maybe this is why he decided it was time. And again, in the coaching business, for you to be able to step away for the right reasons on your way is nice to do, because a lot of us don't have that opportunity. And that's what he decided to do. So I'll miss him dearly on the sideline. I know he'll be around. I hope he stays somehow involved with the game. But it was, even though it was rumored, when you do see it for fact, especially out of the horse's mouth, it's a little harder to take.
Well, and you bring up the youngsters. He's got a daughter that's playing at Grassfield that he wants to go watch her play for her senior season coming up. Ayana, she's going to be a senior at Grassfield. He's also got a grandkid. When we get, hopefully we do get, not if, when we get Coach Dozier on the show, he's got grandkids in Texas. One of them's this little football phenom. He's going to go visit. We'll have to talk to him about his daughter and his grandkids too, because that is near and dear to his heart. But when you've done it as long as he has, and the next one we're going to highlight here that's retiring, it goes beyond the wins and losses and the championships. It's the relationship piece, and you all have pros. In his case, like I mentioned, Williams and James. Ojo's destined to probably be one of those one day. And speaking of another guy that's got a lot of success, Dwight Robinson. This was more of the stunner to folks. It kind of percolated out around the same time as Dozier's, but it picked up steam, and then boom, we officially announced it when it happened. He is retiring at Landstown High School. Its only head basketball coach. Over 25 seasons, 450 wins for him. Took the Eagles to the state playoffs 10 times, 4 region championships, 4 trips to the final, and it was highlighted in 2019 by the Classics Championship that we broadcasted on the NFHS Network when they beat Lake Braddock. Then at the time, they were led by Michael Christmas, who played at JMU in Longwood. One of his sons, stepson Donald Hand Jr., was a freshman on that team, went on to become the all-time leading scorer in Landstown history. Boston College in the ACC, over 1,000 points, now going to be playing his final season or seasons at Loyola Chicago. His other son, Damian Robinson, a sophomore who is 20 points short of 1,000 in his high school career already. And the names he's coached, list of guys going back to Stanley Pringle, Percy Harvin, who went on to the NFL, and you had some battles with him both in the Beach District when you were at Green Run in the playoffs, and another guy that's widely respected, only 53 years of age, so you think there's still probably some coaching in him at some point. He's going to continue to coach his son Damian in the AAU with the Boo Williams 16 under travel team.
Yeah, now this one was a little bit more of a shocker. And there's one of the faces of Dwight Robinson. If you put a camera on him, and you did in your recap of his retirement, the faces of Dwight Robinson on the sideline are priceless. Absolutely.
Yes, intense in the scowl. Yes, no doubt.
And the one that got me was that really flipped me was there was one with him with a tie on.
Oh, we'll show that to you. We'll pull it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep talking.
I can't remember seeing Dwight Robinson in a tie.
Oh, no, listen, he dressed sharp. And listen, he's the head of Avid in the Beach. So he's not only a highly respected coach, but one of the most beloved teachers in the entire city and area.
Yeah, this retirement made me a little bit more angry. As you know, I get really.
Why do you get angry, by the way? You should be happy for these guys. Don't get angry.
And I thought this to myself the other day, too, and my first reaction was, what the hell are you doing, Dwight? We need the good ones on the sideline to teach these young pups who think they know everything to try to learn something. And he does have a lot more years left in him. I remember when we were at the state tournament this year when he mentioned in the media room that we'll be back, and we'll be back here.
There he is.
Yeah, there's the one with the tie. I think the situation here was he had a dinner date with his wife after, and she said, make sure you're dressed to impress. So he did. But, again, he goes out the way he wants to. there's another rumor involved with his son in terms of playing next year, which makes the retirement a little bit more, okay, now I see. And in both cases, for both these men, family was a big part of the decision. And there's nothing wrong with that you do what's best for you and with your family. And there's children involved, so to speak, so they get out and see him play. Dwight mentioned about going to see Donald play this year at Loyola of Chicago. Now he's going to have to take the plane out to go out that way, unless they're coming in this area. But he wants to see his kids play. He steps away from all the craziness that coaching involves. And then who's to say he won't come back in a year or two? You don't know. The possibilities can always be there, and he's young enough to be able to do that.
Well, let me also bring up, he's coached girls basketball at Heritage for a few years, and he was also an assistant football coach on state title winning staffs, Heritage High School in Newport News under the late, great John Quillen, when they ended up dethroning Hampton, won a state championship. Was that 2000, 2001? I think it was 2000. And then also Landstown, Chris Beatty was the head coach, now coaching in the NFL, 2004, and Percy Harvin put on a show in 2004. He was the OC there. I think he was a DC at Heritage, or I might have it flipped. It was OC at Heritage, DC at Landstown. So, look, he could coach. He's also was an accomplished football player, CFL, James Madison All-American in football. So we'll see. I don't think he's done coaching in some capacity, but you never know these days. But a salute to both Darnell Dozier of Princess Anne Girls, almost 800 wins, 16 state titles, as you say, the video game numbers, and Dwight Robinson of the Landstown Eagles, as the beach has two giant holes to fill. And I think you've stated this on social media, probably stated it here now. Have fun replacing those folks, because it's not easy. We'll talk about someone that's replacing another highly respected coach later on in the program, but you can't be those two guys, that's for sure.
Well, here's my thought on that, because, that was my next question to you. You always have your finger on the pulse of what's next before other people.
You want me to give you who I think will get it, or who should get it, or both?
Well, let me say this before you do. In those situations, replacing people with that type of resume, I usually say, and it's not controversial leaving. They're not leaving because they're losing. Right. Who on staff is ready to take over it, to try to keep it going? That's usually how you look at it. But that doesn't mean that's always going to happen, because both of those jobs, a lot of coaches would like to get involved because they still have a lot coming back. So what do you have? Speculation.
If I had to predict, and I think in both cases it would probably be the right moves, who would be the right people to follow those, which again, it's like following we talked about with Jack Baker and Mike Smith. Good, have fun replacing living legends. I would think in Princess Anne's case, while she's not on staff, she was a heck of a player in her day for Dozier and went on to Old Dominion, coached at the high school level for Maury. I think it's now coaching at Bryant Stratton. Sharice Grant. She leaps to mind right away. There are people on his staff. I know Mark Joe's the baseball coach. He's doing that too. He was also an assistant for girls basketball this year. I'm sure he's got a lot of time dedicated to spring, but there are people that are qualified for it, but Sharice Grant leaps to mind for me. Same case in Landstown. There's multiple people qualified, but Reggie Williams, who was the point guard, you remember, you actually played them. I think he got hurt in y'all's game. Morehead State's been with Dwight for a lot of years. I think he's the right guy, and they'll have people around him that have been on Dwight's staff to be the head coach. To be the assistant coaches around Reggie, should he get that opportunity and want that opportunity, which, again, I don't know those things, but those would be the first two names that leap to my mind that best fit those situations. But we've got more coming on this episode of 757 Sports Talk, including, as I mentioned, a coach replacing another coach that's got 400-plus wins. I'm gonna boggle your mind if you didn't see it on social media this week with the number of wins from coaches that have retired this offseason around the state of Virginia. Let's see what Ed thinks about that. One's going to be taking over for one of those guys that we know that we're excited about. We'll probably get him on the show here sometime soon, maybe closer to basketball season or during the summertime. We shall see. And we'll also get Ed's take on the expansion in the NCAA basketball tournament, college hoops. We'll run down the Prep Baseball Report Top 25 and another retirement. This one on the gridiron, not on the hardwood. A record-setting quarterback. It's all coming your way on 757 Sports Talk, and they're watching where, Ed?
Best place to be on a Saturday morning, COA Sports TV.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for you.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloitte, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we're back here on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe, and interact with us on Cova Sports TV, whether you're tuning in on Facebook, Twitter, X, TV, Virginia Preps, you name it, IG. We always like to hear from all of you out there. We mentioned the retirements earlier in the program. Ed of Dwight Robinson at Landstown, 450 wins in 25 seasons, 10 state tournament berths. Darnell Dozier, Princess Anne Girls, 793 wins in 31 seasons with 16 state titles, almost as many rings as fingers and toes. And while this guy didn't win a Super Bowl, didn't win a national championship, he set records galore at Old Dominion. We go to the gridiron. Taylor Heinicke has announced he is done playing professional football. You see him in that Washington Commanders uniform where he made his mark in the National Football League. That was probably where he was most remembered in the pros. He was on a number of different teams, but he was a fan favorite there. 33 years of age. He's been with a couple of different teams here lately. The Chargers, I know, was one, Carolina Panthers, but he set records at Old Dominion. And, of course, they lost that playoff game to the eventual Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I can't say I'm too surprised, but I do see Taylor Heinicke being involved in the game of football. I understand he's going to be living or moving to Virginia Beach, and I could see him coaching in some capacity. Who knows? Maybe at one of these days on Ricky Ronnie's staff at Old Dominion or somewhere. Could be on the high school front, then college front, but a salute to him. Had a really nice career and helped put Old Dominion football on the map during Bobby Wilder's tenure with what they did. Then it was at the 1AA or FCS level.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to hear this. I thought, I don't know if it's injury involved or just time for him to. He's not an oldster. You know, he's not 38 years old, 40 years old. Mm-hmm. And the NFL, which has proven year in and year out, backup quarterbacks are a premium and they're always being looked for. He kind of was the quintessential backup quarterback. He can start a few games. He ran the game plans well. Very heady quarterback. I was kind of surprised by this. But again, whatever his motives are, it just felt like it was time to go ahead and leave. And like you say, maybe his next venture is more pressing for him right now. But I can see him getting calls during this coming season. Sure. Guarantee it. Somebody going to call him and said, "Hey, you want to come out for a couple more games? We really need somebody." I can almost see that happen.
Well, and somebody taking this out of context to a degree, also that's almost how it is nowadays. If you have a stance on something you're hating, or like if you say LeBron's not the second greatest of all time, you're hating. If you say he's third or fourth or ninth, as somebody did on TV on Friday, oh my gosh, that's the most smearing thing to say about people. But I felt like his game was better suited. And again, Kurt Warner made this mark in the Arena League, NFL Europe, and then went to the pros. More of that style of football than the NFL. That's still professional football. And we talked about Dozier and Robinson earlier. They've got pros playing overseas. It's still professional basketball, even if it's not the NBA, or in Dozier's case, the WNBA. But you can still be a pro. And I could see him better fitting that than the NFL now, because it feels like he's gone from fairly or unfairly, like it or lump it, more from the number 2 on some of those depth charts to number 3. And you mentioned quintessential. The guy that always leaps to mind is Tyrod Taylor, who's now with the Green Bay Packers, by the way. He had a Hampton High, Virginia Tech. He's been a perfect number 2 in this league that's gotten some spot starts, emergency starts, and been the number 1 or a bridge guy for some teams. So speaking of injury, though, and we hate to see this, we have to highlight it, though, on the National Football League side of things with 757 connections. JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's had the Nick injury. He's going to be on the PUP list, Ed, now. Once again, he was a Pro Bowler, of course. We saw him star in both football and basketball at Bethel High School in Hampton. Went on to be a Pro Bowler with the Browns after getting drafted in the second round. There was some medical concerns coming out of Notre Dame, where he was projected to be a first-round pick, slid into the second round, but we know what a career he had at Notre Dame, ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And this is just a quality guy off the field, which we'll get to in a moment, as you'll see it scrolling on our ticker about him and Harvard in a second. But he had that tackle of Derrick Henry and his neck issues. It's just kind of lingered with him now into a second year that he'll miss in a row. We hate to see this. He is still such a young guy, a vibrant guy, a highly intelligent dude. And you do wonder about his future, as GM Andrew Berry, you see on the ticker there, telling reporters just a few months ago that he was not sure if he'll ever come back from this. And again, hate to see this, but just 26 years of age. And he was really going to be one of those backbones of the Browns defense, along obviously the mega name on that team, Myles Garrett. But he at that second level at the linebacker spot. We wish him a speedy recovery and all the best.
Yeah, and again, that's heartbreaking news to hear. A tremendous player, active player. But when you hit Derrick Henry head on, things happen. And not all of them are good. And you can almost see that when that man is 240, 250 pounds at his team, and you hit him, what a force that is. And usually neck injuries, head injury, neck injury, very, very, very few have ever come back from that. And of course, his health is paramount over anything. But he said, he's just getting his career really going, and he would have definitely been a all-pro. Hopefully, maybe another year on the sideline, he'll get ready. But if not, it's a shame to see that happen to him. But it's football.
And remember, he came back here, did a football camp in the 757. I'm sure we'll connect with JOK at some point, be it this offseason or down the road. He came on with us back getting to our radio days. But as we had it on the ticker there, and I know you love this with all of our guests, you'll hear some clips later on the program for some of our internet streaming audience and perhaps even the TV side of it over the coming weeks. We were at a lot of the college showcase days this past week across the 757. So we'll sprinkle in a couple per week as we get closer to the countdown of football, high school, college, and pro. But I know you love it when we always interview the kids. What's your GPA? How you doing in the classroom? This is a young man that is using his time away from football to pursue a master's degree in public policy at Harvard University. So even when this game of football does end for him at some point, which is going to be at some point, he's going to be a productive citizen and make an impact in society, we can say, rest assured.
Yeah, I mean, enough said. When he's going for a master's at Harvard as a youngster, enough said. That does not happen by a lot of people. And he is a highly intelligent person, and academics did come first for him in his playing days at Bethel, of course, through college. I really hope the kid, young man, that injury can be taken care of when we get to see him play some more, because he's just a heck of a player.
Absolutely. When we come back, we'll tell you about, we've talked about all these retirements, Heinicke and Robinson and Dozier, perhaps Owusu-Koramoah. Well, somebody retired at Owusu's alma mater, Bethel High School. That was Craig Brehan. We told you about that in February. Who's taking his place? Might be somebody that you know that once upon a time played on the basketball floor with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. That's on the way here after we take our timeout. You're watching 757 Sports Talk with us on Kova Sports TV. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Kova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit kovapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here!
We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
well, no, we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in a phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
Ask the producer to pipe this into the Clippers locker room so I can talk to you, James. I hope you're taking notes. I'm telling you in advance, you're welcome for the wisdom I'm about to spew. Because, listen, I get on my knees every night and pray for someone to believe in me like Daryl Morey believed in you. You wanted a certain coach, they brought in Mike D'Antoni. You want to play a certain style, they played it. You wanted Dwight Howard, they brought him in and got rid of him when you were tired of him. You wanted Chris Paul, they brought him in and got rid of him when you were tired of him. They brought in your old friend Russell Westbrook. You want to go to Vegas on off days? They looked away. You wanted the team to stay over so you could go out at night? They changed the schedule, and it didn't work. And you know what? You said, I'm going to break up with my whoopee. Not good enough. I see the bright lights in New York. I want to go there. My old pal, Kevin Durant. It's going to work. The big 3. And all after 1 year, you wanted out. You realized, oh my gosh, I took this guy for granted, the guy that believed in me. I went back with Daryl Morey. They traded Ben Simmons for you. How did they pull that off? And you know what? You went there and you got a partner who got the MVP. He won the MVP. And what did you say afterwards? You said, they didn't hand me the reins. You're the point guard. You were holding the reins. And what did you do when you had the reins? You scored 9 points in Game 7 against Boston. You blew a 3-2 series lead. So they fired their coach. Not good enough. You broke up with the guy who believed in you again. You said, the bright lights of L.A., that's where I want to go. Let's see if that works. Listen, James, have you ever had those friends who had bad roommates? Over and over, they complained about their bad roommates. This guy's terrible. The bad roommate here. They never thought to be self-aware enough that they're the bad roommate. They're the problem. Hey, James, you're the problem. If this doesn't work this year in this system with this team, then you're going to go and point fingers at everybody else, and you're going to go back home and you're going to start swiping right for another team, and there's not going to be anybody left. Because, James, you're not the beard, you're not the system, you're the problem.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Never gets old, does it? My man from Valley, I can't look up his name. He just eviscerated James Harden, the beard.
That is Ed has to be among the top 5 rants of all time of anything and anybody. I'm laughing over here every time I hear it. He had to produce that, write it out. He hit every spot on James Harden. And of course, it's safe to say he'll never get a chance to interview James Harden because that wouldn't work. But
Brian Damaris, by the way, from the Mavericks, Bally Sports Southwest was the guy. I wanted to make sure I got his name. But yeah, he just absolutely torched him. He torched him. You know what's crazy? I got a funny feeling today Harden might actually play a great game against the Pistons. Might. I emphasize might. I didn't say it with any certainty because he's been so bad. He broke a 36 – he broke a – no, it wasn't 36-year-old. It was a 71-year NBA record. I don't know if you saw this record that he broke. He broke a record that stood for 71 years. If I can get to it now, I thought I had it. 20th playoff game in which he shot 25% or less from the field with a minimum of 10 shot attempts. He broke the tie that he held with Bob Cousy, the great Bob Cousy. Don't knock Bob Cousy there, Edward. You get mad dog a little mad. 182 playoff games for Harden. 36 time he had 3 or fewer made field goals, which equates to nearly 20% of the games he played. So he's been lousy to say the least. Really lousy.
I don't hate James Harden.
I don't hate him either. I just think it's just disappointing, isn't it?
It is. You would think more of the teams he's been on, even though I'd say he's not an individual. He's not playing an individual sport. It's a team sport. But the talent he has, and usually the talent that's been around him on the teams he's been on, you'd think would do better. I was always amazed with Harden, not only his scoring ability, but he would average 8-9 assists a year. So I'm saying, okay, he's passing the ball. Now, we all know he plays no defense, not even Olay defense. And it's a shame because he's going to be earmarked probably his career. He's probably a Hall of Famer, I'm thinking, but he's going to be on the negative side forever. It's like he destroyed teams instead of helped them. And I picked Detroit to win that series, I think, in 7. What's the game he's in that? Is it Detroit 2-0?
It's 2-love. Pistons 2-love. It's now Knicks 3-love on the Sixers. Spurs went up 2-1 on the Wolves, which we'll talk about later on. We're efforting our buddy Chris Monter, by the way. I have not heard back this morning. We're trying to get him on the program. We've been texting throughout the week. And the Lakers trail the Thunder 2-love. Game number 3 tonight on ABC. Game number 3 in the afternoon today on NBC with the Pistons and the Cavaliers at, I think it's Quicken Loans in Cleveland. The arena.
I think Cleveland gets the game today. What Harden does, let's see. But I think he would have to have some kind of hand.
They haven't lost at home, but haven't won on the road. So Cleveland's a funky team in that respect.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of hard to go with them. But I went against Detroit hard. I wanted Detroit to beat. I picked Detroit to beat Orlando in 7. When they went down 3-1, I hurry up and said, nope, Detroit has no shot.
Especially they were down 24 in the third quarter.
Yes. But now, and I went into this series saying Detroit beats Cleveland in 7. And I'm going to still stick with that. I wanted to see Cleveland win it, but I'm going to stick with Detroit in this one. But I think they'll get it today, and maybe Harden will play well so nobody else will have to take a rant against them down the road.
There you go. And you see for all of our spring sports fans, our prep sports fans on the high school front, we had some softball last week with Mark Rutherford at Deep Creek. Hate to say that we jinxed him because he took an L this week after his hot streak. We'll blame that on Ed. And you see the Prep Baseball Report's top 25 in Virginia rankings, which has Atlee number 1 and defending Class 5 champ Ocean Lakes at the bottom of that at number 25. But you mentioned that you don't hate James Harden. Speaking of baseball for a second, one guy that Ed does hate is the Miz. Not the rest of the Miz, but Jacob Mizorowski, who had 10 pitches of 103 miles per hour or faster as he struck out 11 Bronx Bombers in a dominant 6-0 shutout in Milwaukee. Slapped him around. Take that, Yanks. Slap him around. You hate the Miz, don't you? You hate Mizorowski. He's
it's the first time I've seen that kid pitch. I watched the game. I really watched him pitch, and he got my respect because, lanky, 6'7", skinny dude. But he's got arm action galore. And I'm telling you, the Yankees, as great as they've been playing, probably right behind the Cubs in terms of how. And he made them look foolish. But the thing that bothered me more in that game was my guy, Max Fried, just did not have it. The first time all year, did not have it. He got bombed in 4 runs, 1 in 2 innings or 1 inning. And couldn't really recover from it. And then, of course, here goes the Yankees, who score galore during this streak. Couldn't really put anything together against The Miz. And he's a heck of I know we talk about Paul Skeens a lot in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, this kid's good.
Guy here, Miz, boy.
Yeah, he's good.
He can throw it.
Doesn't have as large a sample size, but he's really good. Came up last year and dazzled. Not a flash in the pan by any means. Speaking of the Cubbies for a second, before we do change gears here and go back to the hoops, which I teased before our break. You remember 10 years ago when the Cubbies won the World Series, and back on our radio days, we had our buddy and producer Dino Franza sing "Go Cubs Go" when they won the World Series on our show, which got huge. It got, as someone would say, got huge ratings, huge ratings, Coach. I want to know if the Cubs beat your Yankees in the World Series. They got to get by the Dodgers, who we all can't stand. We loathe them unless you're a Dodger fan.
No.
But if Larry Bowman and Woody, and there's some Dodger fans out there. Robert Jackson, by the way, is a Dodger fan. Landstown football coach. But if the Cubbies play the Yankees and the Cubbies do win, will you let Dino come on the show and will you accompany him in singing "Go Cubs Go"? Just for my entertainment and for many people's entertainment, not just mine. For our audience's entertainment.
No, I'm not going to put my voice out
You
there. Dino have the solo. Dino would deserve the solo.
Okay.
Because
well, if he sings it, will you wear a Cub hat or jersey while he sings it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, you'll do that. Good to know.
And I would like for our audience, for those that are listening, would they donate $5 to a charity of our choice? Not you, not me.
Charity. What would be the reason for them to donate? I mean, it's always good to donate to charity, but what would be your reasoning to ask them that just for that, as opposed to
see me in a Cub hat or jersey?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask the audience to sing along.
Oh,
it is a catchy little song. It is a catchy little song.
I wouldn't mind that World Series, Cubs and Yankees.
It's got a chance the more I look at it, because the Yankees, I think I saw the stat going into Friday that they were one of just 3 teams in the entire American League above 500. It was the Yankees, Rays, and Guardians. That was it. That was the list. I know the A's, I think, have since joined that group. They don't have a home. Oakland, Sacramento, what do you call the A's? But that's unreal. The National League's got a little more meat and potatoes to it, although the Padres have struggled the last couple of days. They're legitimate. The Cubs, the Braves, the Dodgers, of course. There's more teams that could be in the mix, although the Dodgers trying to go for the rare three-peat, which hasn't been done since your Yankees won 3 in a row from 98 to 2000, and then were denied a 4-peat in 2001, falling in the greatest World Series of all time when Luis Gonzalez hit the bloop single over Derek Jeter's head off of Mariano Rivero, and the snakes were alive in the desert. So there you have it.
Yeah, that was the yet to be determined, but it will come out later. Fixed World Series.
It was not fixed. That was not fixed. It was fixed in 98, which we'll get to later about referees and pro basketball. That's going to be in the 11 o'clock hour of the show. We'll talk more about that because one of our 757 all comes back to that. It's being embroiled in some controversy or chatter, however you want to deem it. And we do like him personally, but he is taking it on the griddle this morning as he ever. But that's all on the way. It is 757 Sports Talk, brought to you by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe with the coach adjunct. I am Matthew Hatfield, and as we mentioned earlier in the program, retirements galore. Craig Brehan retired at Bethel High School after his decorated 10-year ed. A lot of wins there at Bethel. And he coached Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who we mentioned earlier in the program. He also coached this young man, and I say young man because I can only think of him as a young man. That's Cam Bacote, the new head coach of the Bruins. He was an all-state performer. You and I got a chance to call their state tournament run when they fell to LC Bird in the championship game. He was Peninsula Player of the Year, all-state performer. And you see him there suiting it up for Bethel in that championship game at VCU. And now he is the new head basketball coach at his alma mater. The Bacote name, very synonymous in sports. You think of Damon Bacote, older brothers Teddy and Aaron. Aaron played at Old Dominion. And now Cam getting a crack at the coaching thing as the head man of the Bethel Bruins, following in the footsteps of his coach, Craig Allen Brehan. What do you think of this one? It's an interesting hire. I like it a lot.
I did too. When I see you announce it, I thought my first instinct was, I even put it on there. Great choice. Great hire, really good young dude. was a heck of a player. I hated scheming against him because he still found ways to score, and pretty much a complete player on the floor too. Hard worker. And I think he'll bring a lot of those traits into the coaching profession, give Bethel a new shot of energy. As we said earlier, I hated to see Craig step down, and the biggest accomplishment, Craig Breon wins 1 million games and all that, but he overcame some health issues, which was the greatest thing for Craig. And he went out his way. And this hiring is, I think, really, really good. The kids at Bethel will enjoy this one, and he's going to be successful. Not later. He's going to be successful right off the bat. He gets those kids' attention, and they understand who's that leader. Great choice. Another guy we got to get on here. I'd like to pick his mind as to what he's got in store and some of his coaching ideas. And I know he probably have a lot of things from Craig, but I'm sure he has some things up his sleeve too.
Without a doubt. And also, by the way, Bethel, as they not only announced the hiring of Cam Bacote as his new boys basketball coach, they announced, in addition to that, they have a new girls basketball coach as well with Kareem McNeil. He was the head JV coach, 23-7 record the last couple of years. So he will take over on the girls side at Bethel. But I can't think of Cam Bacote without thinking back to 2011. We had him in studio with his brother Aaron and his father Ted. He's like a 5, 6, 7-year-old. Then that was 15 years ago. Makes me feel old as dirt there. I know he'll laugh when he sees that picture again. But good for Cam Bacote as he's the new head basketball coach of the Bruins of Bethel High School. So there you have it. Stick around, more coming up on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe and interact with us, with the coach Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield. It is May. Ed is studying diligently for the Preakness despite no golden tempo. He's getting ready for it. And they're watching where, Ed?
They're right here on Cova Sports TV, where you should like, share, and definitely subscribe.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
I'm here with Maury class of 2027 athlete Matt Williams, first team All-State performer as the reigning 3-time state champs. Get ready for a four-peat. Matt, hard to believe it's about to be your senior season. Just made a big college decision with a commitment to Vanderbilt. Tell me about, you're going to go from being a Commodore in high school to a Commodore in college, huh?
Yes, sir. Staying a Commodore.
Yes, sir.
What made you choose Vandy, and how solid are you? I know a lot of schools will continue to recruit you.
Yes, sir.
You'll probably still take your official visits and all those things you got lined up, but
Yes, sir.
what made you choose Vandy?
I feel like home. I got there. I feel like I was back at Maury. Everything felt right. I feel like home. Yes, sir. Solid commitment, too. Not going anywhere.
Sure. Now, you've been playing a lot of positions in high school, from quarterback to wide receiver to defensive back, among other spots, even making an impact in the state championship on a kickoff return to start the state championship game. But it feels like DB's your home for college? Is
Yes, sir.
that so? What is it at DB they like about you?
It just feels natural. I'm going to play some kick returns, some special teams.
Okay.
Return, kick return, stuff like that, too.
Something about the relationship with the coaches. I know Jamal Richardson, the DB's coach there.
Yes, sir.
How much did you guys vibe?
Yes, sir. That's my guy. Hey, that's my guy. Coach Rich, Coach Harris, the whole staff.
Mm-hmm.
I got along with everybody. It wasn't one coach. It was the whole staff.
Sure.
I love everybody there.
Now, I mentioned other schools will continue to recruit you, whether it's schools in the ACC, the Big Ten, SEC. But what is it about Vanderbilt that would make you say no to that pitch? Just like the SEC and the environment there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a winning program.
Mm-hmm.
Brotherhood. It feels like I'm back here at Moore. I lie to you not.
Sure.
Just everything. It just feels right there.
You have your college day here, and you see familiar faces, guys like Darian Varner is now coaching with you guys, and guys that have been in the NFL like Keandre Lambert-Smith. How much you had the motivation to see some of these guys come back home? I know Ike Simmons getting ready to go to college at Pitt, but you guys have a tradition here, and I know you want to be a part of that and have a chance to play in the pros one day, right?
Yes, sir. It's a real brotherhood. You see guys coming back to coach. That's how you know it's a real brotherhood. When guys come back to coach, that's how you know you have a good leader at the head.
Sure. Now, obviously, you've been a key performer for the last 3 championship games going back to your freshman year, but last year, to open up the state finals with a bang on a kickoff return for a score and also catch one, what did it feel like to be making such a big impact in a game like that?
Yeah, it felt amazing, but I got to thank my guys. Like, without that pass, without my line, that's not getting off. Without Damo, that's not getting off. So
sure.
I got to thank those guys first.
4.240, 3.4 GPA. Which are you more proud about, the speed of the grade? They both matter, right? Don't they both matter?
Yeah, they both matter. They both matter.
Which is harder, to run a 4.240 or get a 3.4 GPA or better?
I say probably run a 4.240.
Why is that?
I ain't gonna lie. I don't know too many guys with a 3.4 running a 4.40. So
sure. Your speed's an asset. We saw it with LeBron Bond, who's back here, by the way, won a national championship in Indiana. What did it feel like taking more of a role? Obviously, he and Elijah Moss-Williams at receiver, and I know you'll be a bigger role this year, but to learn from those guys behind you, what have you learned here at Maury?
Yes, sir. Every day competing against those guys. Mm-hmm. I did steal some of their releases, too. I did. Okay. I took some of their releases, some of their moves. They mentored me for real.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mentioned the grades. You know what you want to study at Vanderbilt in college?
Communications.
All right, so you want to come for my job one day and be a broadcaster or do some things on TV. But tell me about, as you get ready for senior year, what are the things you're trying to polish up on? Because nobody's a finished product or has got it as a ride and done everything perfect. I know there's something you get better at, right?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to put on some weight, build my football IQ, and be more fluid in my breaks at GB.
Mm-hmm. Last two for you. How much do you take pride in knowing the playbook, the ins and outs, what's coming, and knowing what's going to be said from the mad scientist over there, Coach McCain, what's he going to say next? Because that's important, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Me and Coach, during the summertime, we get that extra film in. Me, Coach Damo, all the quarterbacks get that extra time in film. It really harps on that, being able to go to college and get on the board and not look crazy. So I'm always in the film, extra film, always studying.
Good deal. I know the goal for you is one day make the NFL, right?
Of course.
So who's Matt Williams' pro comp? Who's the guy that you like to say, I want to be like him one day, or has traits that I have in my game, vice versa?
I take a little bit from everybody.
Okay.
And not one guy.
Not one guy. Do you have a favorite player, though?
Position, like
just in general.
Favorite player, PS2.
Who is it?
PS2.
PS2?
Yeah, Patrick Surtain.
Okay, Patrick Surtain. That's his guy. Well, watch out for him going for a 4-pit. He's going to be going to play for the Commodores in the SEC at Vanderbilt. Matt Williams, thank you so much. All the best.
Yes, sir.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
So you just heard from Matt Williams, has the best first name in the Commonwealth, folks. Headed to Vanderbilt, the wide receiver, defensive back, return specialist, 4.4, 240, 3.4 GPA, 3 grabs for 75 yards and a score, 74-yard kickoff return for a score in the state finals. First team All-State DB with 5 INTs to go with his 28 grabs for 461 yards and 6 touchdowns, Edward. And just like his candid honesty there in that interview, and he's going to be one of the playmakers that we're highlighting come August when we do our Player of the Year picks. Certainly has a chance to be that. And, of course, we'll hear from future Players of the Year and a returning Player of the Year in weeks to come here on the program, like Tayshawn Branch, the running back from Maury, who's got a college choice coming up soon, probably this summer, and the sophomore quarterback Damo Everett, who is the younger brother of Steelers draft choice Dalen Everett. So they are stacked once again with a pretty darn good team.
Yeah, I love seeing the kids in their announcements and where they're going. Of course, little prejudice. I would like to see them stay here in the state of Virginia, but you got to go where you feel it's best for you. Vanderbilt's not used a highly destination for a lot of kids. I always say it's the misfit school, the SEC. It's high academic.
They beat Bama. Was it 2 years ago or 3? They just beat Alabama not long ago.
Yeah, the last 2 years they have really established themselves. I guess they got some NIL money crazy there at Vanderbilt, and now it looks like they're going to be able to be a power broker possibly in that SEC. So great job for Matty Williams to get there and do well, and hopefully that he's going for communications. We'll probably be long gone by the time he's job hunting. So, and he might have a little career after Vanderbilt on the grassy field. So.
Yeah, that was a great play he made. Unfortunately, we're having some issues with our system today. I wanted to play leading up into that. We have them. We'll probably do it later on. His 2 highlight reel clips, courtesy of the NFHS Network, his kickoff return, his touchdown catch, which we played back in December. But we'll do that again probably maybe for our TV audience coming up on Monday for folks to check that out. It is 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. I did want to bring up, because I forgot to do it at the end of last segment. It's my fault. Not only is Cam Bacote a new head coach, Drew Maynard, which we talked about last week with Nick Hahn at the the Kentucky Derby, before the Preakness here. We'll probably get Nick on or Darrell Wood again to discuss that. He's going to follow in the footsteps of his father, the decorated Greg Maynard, as the coach Admiral. Congratulations to him. We're happy about that. And Jake Pacor, who you got to meet last summer at the St. James event with Billy Pope, is going to be the guy that follows in the footsteps of Billy Pope as the head coach at Northside. But I wanted to bring this statistical note to your attention as I now put up on the screen for you to better grasp it, as I can share screen it for you and let the audience digest these numbers visually as well as audio. Here's some of these numbers that are pretty amazing when it comes to the coaches that have retired in the last week plus. So we will cue it up here in just a second for you. But with Billy Pope and with Greg Maynard and with Darnell Dozier, Craig Brehan, and Dwight Robinson this offseason, Coach. And I know Lynn Burke had a great note on your Facebook or my Facebook this week about just Robinson and Dozier on the beach alone. But take a look at these numbers. If we now have them queued up, I think we do. There we go. 5 men, 3,000 wins, like Mr. 3,000, Bernie Mac, 163 seasons with Dozier, Pope, Maynard, Robinson, and Brehan. That's unheard of. All of them 25 years in the business. All of them at least 438 wins in the business. When Dwight has the fewest years and Brehan has the fewest wins, that speaks volumes in itself. But pretty incredible stuff right there. 3,000 on the nose with those 5 guys. They could do a remake of a movie, Mr. 3000, and have all 5 of them in the movie. There you go.
That's a ton of games. That's just the wins.
Yeah.
So you throw in all the losses, and the point of that would be how many total games on the sidelines for these.
It's 20. It's 20 state championships too, by the way. Now Dozier's hogging them all. He's got 16 of the 20. Unfortunately, Maynard and Brehan didn't get any. Robinson got 1. Pope got 3. But then they also got factored in the title game appearances. Brehan's been to 2. Dwight's been to 4. Dozier went to 19. Pope went to, I think, 4 or 5. Maynard went to 1 or 2. It's a lot. It's just a lot to digest there. Crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, you wonder if there had been any other time, and it probably is, you'd have to look it up. Any other 5 people, whether it be the women or the men in basketball, retired to roughly the same time with that many wins.
It's a lot of wins. It is a lot.
Woody Wagner, what do you think, Woody? 3,000 wins among those 5
wins with those 5 guys. Those 5 guys. I know Woody's ready for some football, like our man up there, football 2026 was talking about, waiting for his schedules. We're gathering them, by the way. I have the Beach District football schedule for those that care. I have a few of the Eastern and Southeastern. So if there is a specific schedule out there you want us to read off as we go through the months of June and July, we'll have them all by end of June or early July, because the VHL usually releases them. Although last year it released late, I think towards the end of July, as they had the transition with Laura Bickley retiring. But we'll have most of them, I will tell you, though, is flipped from last year with the Eastern and Southeastern. It's just home and away, flipped from a season ago. But as we mentioned, we'll count down. We'll probably sprinkle in one or two more of those interviews this morning. We'll let Ed choose the next one we do because we still have Lincoln Holiday, great name from Oscar Smith, and he's very vibrant. Lonnie Andrews III of Oscar Smith, and a couple of Green Run Stallions like Malik Marsh, who will be making his college choice next month, and Tayron Whitehead, who is the son of a former Norfolk State All-American, Terrell Whitehead, D coordinator at Green Run. So we'll sprinkle in them, and I'll get more in the next couple of weeks as we go through 7-on-7 circuits and camps and things of that nature to get you all ready for football. He's following Birmingham USFL right now. Okay. We can dig it. He also tell us why you're following Birmingham USFL. Ed follows the leagues for pro basketball that some of his guys like Dontrell Bright and Shannon Evans are in. How many of those games do you get a chance to watch? What's that?
Get Andre Jones still playing.
Andre Jones, I'm going to leave him out. Sorry about that. Him as well. He's been the longest of them all. I remember when he graduated in 2008. He's still doing it. Almost 20 years as a pro, which is he was in college at Winthrop after that, but a long time as a pro, at least a decade for sure.
All three guys are playing at a high level. Andre's in his 30s, and he's still one of the better players in the league.
Yeah,
all of them in decent league competition. It's not no open run YMCA. They're all doing very well. And the big thing about all three, somebody asked me this the other day. They saw my post on Facebook about these kids. And they said, Coach, if you could put one thing about these guys, and we see how proud you are of them, what would it be? I said, the thing about all three, when the games were tougher, opponents tougher, games on the line, all three played even their best. All three wanted the ball. All three were not afraid of failure. And I said that's something that was very distinguishable among them and many other players that I have had. They want the ball in a big-time situation, and most of the time they delivered. I mean, I can't really remember a whole lot of times they did. Yeah, they missed some shots here and there, and Dontrell might have had a turnover or two here or there. I remember the game against Anthony Barber, tremendous game at the Scope between those two. But way more often than not, those kids really delivered. It was more like me saying, okay, give them the ball, give them a screen if they need it, and let's not mess them up. That was my great coaching point with some of those guys because they really were. They were really tremendous, and they're still doing it and taking care of their bodies. They understood the assignment as they went deeper into their career, and Andre now is giving out some great advice.
I saw that.
I don't think Andre has the demeanor to be a coach. You'd be too impatient. Maybe upper level.
Impatient? Oh, I don't know. You're a pretty impatient guy. You've done it a long time. I don't think he's as impatient as you.
I'm very patient.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Having working with you for the last 21 years has helped me develop patience.
I beg to differ.
But I don't see, I don't know if any of those guys would be coaches, to be honest with you. I just think their mentality is a little different than that. And maybe Shannon Evans, because of the three, boy, Shannon drove me the craziest.
I was going to say he would be the least of the three. I would say is going to be coaching, but then again, he's they're all three special young men. We can revisit that conversation at another time. Opening round changes to the NCAA basketball tournament for the men's and women's side of things. The magical March Madness is going to continue, not just with the cocktail. You see that story down low on the ticker, but more teams, more games, always better, right, Ed? Or do you say, nah, not so quite, not quite, my friend, not so fast, my friend?
I don't want to get into a long soliloquy about all this.
Soliloquy, that's a big word.
Yeah.
Can you spell it, though?
I don't like, remind me again of the show. I got to look it up on Google. I don't mind the additional teams, but you and I are going to argue. If it helps get the lower level teams that have won championship, their conferences or whatever, gets them in, okay. But if this is going to get the SEC's 8th and 9th place teams in better now, then I'm not for it. I do want to get rid of the buys. I don't like the play-ins. People say, well, they're still part of the NCAA tournament. No, they're not. I don't think it is so much. Get rid of all the buys. You get them 1 through whatever it is now. Is it 72 teams or whatever? And if that still causes buys, then add some more teams to eliminate the buys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this playing stuff at all. The one I really hate is, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it like 2 teams, not the first 4, but where they have those teams that are playing for like 11th seed, and whatever team wins that is the
whole thing is screwed up.
Yeah, it is. That's the bottom line. It's screwed up.
Here's the new bracket, which we got to really zoom in to see. And here's the problem. And I think Mike DeCourcy, who we've had on the show, Sporting News Outgoing, he's retiring, by the way, too, as we continue with our retiring trend this weekend. By the way, everybody's retiring. DeCourcy, Brehan, Robinson, Dozier, Maynard, Pope. Ed Young's not retiring. He just inked a 5-year deal back in April, ladies and gents. He ain't going nowhere. But
I can't go nowhere. There's nowhere to go. So
that's right.
They're stuck with me.
So if you really zoom in on this, which I'm going to try to do, it's hard for our audience. So you see in the upper left portion of the bracket, and it is what DeCourcy said, what made this thing so charming to the common basketball person is you could have a sheet of paper like this, and it's all on one sheet of paper, and people fill out a bracket. That's the charm. Every average Joe, John, Marion, Harriet, Susie, anybody. It doesn't mean old, young, male, female. It doesn't matter. They can fill out a bracket. Now to fill out the bracket, it's almost becoming too complicated, and you almost can't fit everything on one sheet of paper. It's squinched up. You go from 64 to 68 to 76. When does it stop? They're already talking about expansion for college football's playoff to 24 teams. We're going to play 30 games now? We're going to have these college athletes, these student athletes who are getting paid, play more games than the NFL guys? What are we doing here? When is enough is enough? It's all about the money. It's all about the greed. They can't be happy with what they got won. It's just like those that have to put their money into the sports wagering services because they can't be happy with winning $6.42. They got to win $16 or $26 or $266. They got to keep going. The greed is insane, and it's the erosion of college sports before our very eyes. You say it's not that big a deal. People will be entertained with the games. They'll be wagering on them those Tuesdays, Wednesdays. But here's the problem filling out a bracket. Are you going to wait till Thursday morning to know who won those Tuesday, Wednesday games? So you have the 16-16 in the upper left, 12-12, 11-11, 15-15. That's 4 playing games there. Your bottom left's got a 16-16 and a 12-12. Your upper right's got a 16-16 and a 12-12. And then your bottom right's got a 16-16, 12-12, 11-11, and 15-15. That's too much to keep up with. And if you think you're going to win the pool, by the way, good luck with that. Ain't no chance you're winning the pool. We can't have a perfect bracket now. You add more games to it, it's definitely not going to happen. I mean, to me, I'm sorry, I'm a little more bothered by it than you are. I just think it, and again, when the games come, we'll be into the games, but I don't get it. I don't understand it. There's no need for it. Does anybody really sitting at home other than Charles Barkley, an Auburn, a former Auburn great, saying, we got to see that Auburn team that won the NIT over Tulsa with David Green, who we watched in the PIT, coached by our pal Eric Conkle. We got to see Auburn and Tulsa in this tournament. This tournament was missing that. When we got to that Final Four with Illinois and with Michigan and UConn and Arizona, we needed Auburn and Tulsa there too. No, we didn't. We're just fine with 64 or 68. When is enough enough?
I'm glad you did the tirade and not me, because I agree. And I still see the buys. So I'm like, you didn't fix it. You made it more complicated. There's a difference. Get rid of the buys. And yes, I was the type of person back in the day, like to see the little team come out there and win the whole thing, or somebody come out of nowhere. But as I aged, I'm starting to think, you want your better teams to be involved in winning a title. What was the regular season for? I know people say, well, if they were that good, they'll come out on top, cream rises to the top and all that. Yeah, but you're putting them through all these extra games. Football, you can't do it. Because what's going to happen?
They're going to try. They're going to go to 24. They're going to keep going until they won't let them.
Yeah, when you go to 24 teams, now you're looking at adding. You're almost going to play half of another season.
Yes.
And this football's different now. Football, you only play once a week. You can't. Basketball, you can play 2, sometimes 3 games a week.
But again, it's not like somebody's getting shortchanged in this deal. We're still getting championship games with Notre Dame and Ohio State. We're getting championship games with Indiana, Miami. It's not like we have to, which I know you've been for. We're going to have the little guy. Every league champion deserves a spot at the table. No, they don't, because let's be perfectly honest. Sorry, The Louisianas and the Marshalls of the world and the Toledos and the Bowling Greens are not going to win 4 or 5 in a row, beating Notre Dame and Michigan and Ohio State and Alabama to get to a championship game. It's just not happening. Even now in college basketball, the little guy, the Cinderellas are dying. The Butlers, the George Masons, the VCUs of the world, they're not there. They're not there in the limelight because of NIL in the portal in college sports. It's eroding before our very eyes. Pat Forty said it best. The erosion is right there in front of us, smack dab, but it's all at the end of the day about the money, 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 and the greed, greed, greed. The need for greed.
Well, it's microcosm of our society. It's all greed. It's all about money. I'm not going to get it. Dominion Electric is passing a $2 billion bill on them for energy costs onto all of us customers. Why is that our problem? It's everybody is greed. Gas is going to be probably $9 by 4th of July. The war with Iran is going to keep going on for a while. Mr. Orangehead, you can talk about it's just about over. We got them where we want them. Please, send that to somebody who doesn't have a brain. But in terms of this, you're right. We have made college sports, which had its own little place, more so professionalized sports. And college sports killed the little guy already by having the big teams now be able to take from those teams as a farm system and put into theirs. So that's
but they did that at even before NIL came around. That was happening even before. But now with the lack of structure and rules, it's getting worse and worse and worse by the day, by the week, by the month, by the year. And now we just want to expand the tournaments and make this longer and make this more of a charade. That's what it is. It's a charade.
Right, because before you would have kids transfer, but you had locked rules. You didn't have it like it's out of hand now, where kids can hurry up and transfer. You got guys that are playing great, nothing wrong. They're getting their tuition, but they're jumping and transferring because, well, I want more, not more playing time, which used to be the reason transferring. I want more money. I can get more money. That's strictly and only what it is. We don't even know if these guys are taking classes or they're going to class or whatever. Of course, somewhere they have to have 12 credits to be considered a full-time student to be able to participate in athletics, but that's been buried underneath it. We don't even talk about that anymore. It needs fixed, and everybody knows it, but nobody's really taking the steps to really do it because money, and everybody's trying to get theirs. Bottom line.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we're going to go to break. We do have it confirmed now. Coming up at 11:25, it'll be Chris Monter.
Great to see Chris Monter.
He's going to come on. Yeah, great to have him on. We should see him. We usually hear from him, but he's been on the podcast before, as well as for years and years on radio. And we'll talk about life in Minnesota with the T-Wolves coming off an L last night to the Spurs. And I'll have to play that when we come back. Or when we come back, when we come on with Chris, rather, we'll play that clip. To get Chris's thought if he went to the game or not. The Minnesota Wild, by the way, taking on the Colorado Avalanche in the NHL's playoffs, the second round. And we're going to address another coach who hasn't retired but made a big, big move from the 757 to another state. We left that out during all of our coaching conversations. We'll get Ed's take on that. But when we come back, who are we going to hear from, Ed? We're going to hear from, like I mentioned, we got Lonnie Andrews III, we got Lincoln Holiday, we got Tayron Whitehead, we got Malik Marsh and Whitehead of Green Run, Holiday and Rising Jr. with a bunch of offers, and then Andrews, who's committed to UVA, who we've heard from before, but talking about the Tigers getting ready for their senior run. Who do you want to hear from when we come back from break on our football clip? Spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel, and it lands on a holiday.
It lands on a holiday is what Ed says. So we're going to hear from Holiday when we come back. We've got more coming your way. Don't touch that dial. You're watching 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and the one and only Coach Ed Young. Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Cova Sports TV. From high school football and basketball to the NFL, MLB, college sports, and the NBA, if it's making headlines, they are breaking it down. Bold takes, big-time guests, and a few laughs, especially at the expense of that basketball coach, Ed Young. Catch it on Cox TV and your view, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Cova Sports TV.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
All right, here with Oscar Smith, class of 2028 defensive lineman Lincoln Holiday, an all-state performer from a season ago off the back-to-back state champion Tigers. Lincoln, back-to-back state championships had to be sweet, and to do it the way you guys did last year at James Madison in a shutout. How cool was that?
I mean, it was real cool. The moment was so real. You know, a lot of people told us we weren't going to do it. A lot of people told us we didn't have the team from last year, and all we did was sit back, be quiet, and show them what real Smith football is.
And it felt like you played your best football at the end of the year in the playoffs, especially the state championship game, harassing the quarterback, making plays in the backfield with your D-line mates like Lennox Williams and other guys up front. How much did you all relish kind of being the game changers up front?
Yes, sir. Later in the season, it was like I had to make a statement. You know, during the season, I was getting double teamed, triple teamed a lot. I didn't make no excuses. I sat back. I didn't have Lennox for the first 5 games of the season, so it was kind of all on me. But during the playoffs, we stuck together as a D-line in total. And we just had to go get the quarterback at all times.
It feels like it's a brotherhood and a family environment at Oscar Smith. The receivers feed off each other, the linebackers, the DBs, and you guys, the defensive linemen. How much do you all kind of like feed off just the energy of the crowd and just the loyal fan base you all have too?
It's definitely the fan base is immaculate. You know, we come out the Tiger cage and we hear them roaring like they Tigers too. And then about us feeding off each other, like you said, it's a brotherhood. You know, all we want to do is get better. All we want to do is be the number one. We fight for offers. We fight for spots. We fight for plays. We fight for touchdowns. We fight for stats. That's all it is around here.
Your recruiting's blown up. You've gotten about 15 plus officers. Delaware's the latest one you've got. You've got a whole bunch on your list. The likes of, I can go through the list of them, Pitt, ODU, Michigan, Virginia Tech, Wake, goes on and on and on. But what do you want to show the fans out there, the college coaches that evaluate that Lincoln Holiday brings to the table? What do you think is your best traits as a football player?
My trait is my coachability, my explosive off the ball, my length, my like I said, explosiveness. It's all I come as a package.
Sure. And you're sizing too big. Tell me what you're checking in height and weight now. Where are you at?
Yes,
what are you up to?
I'm at about 6'4", 260.
Okay, not too bad. Tell us about what is the latest in recruiting. I know you've had some visits. You got some visits lined up. You saw, was it Georgia Tech recently?
Yes, sir.
What was that like? What'd you take from that experience?
It wasn't what I expected. It was my first spring game.
Okay.
The player personalities, they was real nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't complain too much about it because then again, it was my first visit up there. So, I mean, I hope to get out there again soon.
Yeah. Then you were at Virginia Tech for spring as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Coach Franklin's there. Tell me about the vibe with the Hokies.
Oh my! It was immaculate. You know, the second I walked in the building, it was like they've known me for all my life.
Yeah.
Like I said, Coach Franklin is a great guy.
Sure.
You know, I thought he was gonna be mean. You know, I was kind of intimidated when I first walked in that head coach's office, but you know, he showed love like I was one of his players. So,
have you had a dream offer or two growing up? Any couple of schools that like, oh, that would be cool to go visit or get an offer from? Or
well, Michigan was one.
Sure.
I already went up there. LSU, Oklahoma, I go up there too.
Okay.
This summer. Nebraska.
Okay.
And there's one more.
Okay.
If there was one more, I'd probably say Oregon.
Okay, good deal. You said you're going to Oklahoma.
Yes,
I hear Michigan on that list. Obviously, you got an Oscar Smith teammate who's there now, Travis Johnson. What does he tell you about the Wolverines and that school's going to be in the picture when it's all said and done, potentially?
You know, he was a very competitive guy. So I know he went up there and handled business and put on for our city.
Sure.
By what I can tell, he loves it up there.
Sure.
And I'm already knowing he's going to go up there and ball his freshman season.
Awesome. And lastly, you got another year before you get to your senior year, and recruitment pretty much comes to a wrap and an end. I know you go for the three-peat now here at Oscar Smith. You got some heavy hitters coming to Chesapeake, obviously their first game against Gonzaga. What should we expect out of your game? What do you want to improve on as you try to get that three-peat this year?
I set a personal goal for myself this season, and I'm breaking that sack record.
What is it?
22.5.
Okay.
I'm coming for it all.
You know who holds it, right?
I forgot his name.
Josh Sweat, isn't it? Andrew Brown. Andrew Brown, I think it is. Oh, it's not. Someone else has the sack record.
Yeah,
that's right.
Cal.
Oh, yeah, it is. Kyle Thomas had it. You're right. I should know that because I covered him too. Yeah, but that's the record you're going for. What did you have last year, sack?
I had 12.5, so I pretty much got to double my performance.
All right, that's KT. He's coming for you, KT. That is Oscar Smith Lincoln Holiday. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
So you heard from Lincoln Holiday. We thought it was Josh Sweat and Andrew Brown that had the sack record, but it's Kyle Thomas. I think he said, if I heard it right, 22.5. And he had 12.5 himself last year, 52 tackles, 19 for loss. So he's going to have to double that performance. He's got a bunch of schools looking at him already. The Michigans, the Oklahomas, the Va Techs, the Georgia Techs of the world. There it is, 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. Very engaging, personable young man who's a beast on the football field for the Tigers.
Intense. I could tell he's intense. Right in the middle of the interview, he's yelling over. He's getting ready to yell for somebody to get some information.
Well, that was the coach to get the information. And by the way, you see him doing this a lot because there was flies out there galore all over the place. So it's not so much we were all doing it, including me. So there you have it. Look what Woody wants today. I agree, Woody. It's warming up. The rain is gone. Great idea, Woody. I didn't put him up to that. He just came up with that on his own. What a brilliant idea.
Woody, there are many times I wonder about the don't want to say this the wrong way, but the intelligent level you sometimes pick from, Woody.
Don't be knocking our loyal viewers. There are so many that think more like Woody and me than like you. You just don't want to accept it or come to grips with it.
There are many who try to be very respectful of you because they understand you're not operating with a full deck.
You know, I've had two people this week, and they're not named Woody or Ed, that have asked me, when is the pool episodes going to return? And I said, well, once we get my friends here to open up the pool, which I think is going to happen in the next, hopefully, several days. You know, it's getting warmer now. Got to make sure everything's good. The water's clean, good to go. And we'll do it. Don't shake your head. You know you've missed it. Listen, I actually had someone the other day say, one of my favorite things about your show was poolside adventures. I said, you know what? We can bring it back if you like. We can bring it back. Shake your head, squint your face, your nose over there. You know, it's all right.
I will be happy to see when you do it from the James River when it's flowing hard.
Well, unfortunately, when it does return, if it does return, we hope more when than if. John Krikorian will no longer, the real Coach K, be coaching in the 757. It does appear, sources have said it's not been officially confirmed or officially announced, I don't believe, on CNU's end of things. And I know you put in texts and calls to Coach K out there, not Krzyzewski, but Krikorian, who led CNU to unprecedented heights, Ed, is leaving Christopher Newport as its basketball coach to be a Division I assistant at Elon of all places. Yeah, the Phoenix of Elon. So Coach K, who did a marvelous job at CNU, going to be headed to Elon. 12 NCAA tournaments in Division III, which is, as you well know, not easy. We're talking about a championship in 2023 and 362 victories. Those are the numbers for a guy who certainly carved out his mark following the late, great C.J. Woolham, who moved from coach to AD. I think halls of fame in his future on the local front, perhaps statewide. And we're going to miss him, but he's not going away permanently because we'll probably see him recruit players from around VA at Elon. If this news is indeed true, and all indications from various sources are that it is true. Your thoughts? Have you put a contact into Coach K, who loves coming on the show? And I know he's not dodging us to come on the show.
to avoid talking about this, right?
I have not, I'll be honest, I've not put it in because I'm still a little shocked. And we are definitely going to have, I don't want to speculate as to why. I have a small feeling, he may not say it, that he's going in as an assistant. And I got to think of who the Elon coach is. They're probably good friends. But John will not be an assistant very long.
Oh, really? You say he's coming for the Elon guy's job or somebody else's job?
No, I don't think he's trying to take the Elon guy's job. Unless maybe whoever the coach is, we got to look it up. At Elon.
It's Billy Taylor. You know Billy Taylor at all?
I think he was a former player at Notre Dame. He's been in the game a bit.
He was an assistant at Notre Dame, UNC Greensboro, Lehigh, Ball State head coach, Iowa operations director, Belmont Abbey head coach, Iowa assistant, and now the present coach at Elon, where it looks like he's won, his career 252 wins, and at Elon he's 38-59. But that's what I'm seeing. So yeah.
Well, I'm looking this way, is that John not looking to take the Elon job, but to get an opportunity for a head job in the business, because as successful as he is at CNU, there's still this feeling among the big boys, Division I, you're Division III coach, you don't understand what we're going through, which I always thought was asinine as can be. A person like John Macedo over at Wesleyan, these guys can coach Division I head coach without any issue or problem. They coached at the hardest level to recruit and win consistently, and they both won national titles. There's a lot of jokers who are head coaches at Division I schools who couldn't touch what they've done. So don't give me that mess about, well, they don't understand our level. That's stupid. But that's my speculation with John. I hate to see him go to fixture here in the area. I am, as we talk, I'm trying to text his number.
Be careful.
Us both at the PIT, like,
you did.
Yeah, you forgot about me, huh? And I said, this guy over here.
Don't blame me. Come on now. But we have to take a break. We were talking about John Krikorian. We have to take a break because coming up next, I saw him enter the studio to come on the show, and that is Chris Monter. Monter Draft News, you know him for many, many years. He came on with us on the radio side of things, and he's a fixture here coming on talking basketball, all things basketball with us in the 757. We'll chat about the NBA playoffs with Mr. Monter coming up and what life is like in Minnesota with the T-Wolves and the Wild, both trying to overcome deficits against the Avalanche in Minnesota Wild's case in hockey, and the San Antonio Spurs on the basketball side of things as they get ready for game number 4. It's on the way here on 757 Sports Talk after this quick break on Kova Sports TV.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps? More strength, more stamina. We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
What is more? Is it more reps? More strength? More stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better. And it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Chris, I'm not sure I've seen players hold a referee back from their head coach before.
Pretty unprofessional, huh?
Well, could just kind of take
Yeah,
us
I
through
wanted
what
the
happened.
timeout.
Yeah.
And I had called it 3 seconds earlier, and I wanted the timeout, and I said I want my 3 seconds back. And so, and because he clearly heard me, he looked my way, ignored me, went on with the play, and then gave me the almost cost us a turnover. And then he lost it. Then I went to ask him where the ball was going to be taken in, and he was screamed at me for that. So completely unprofessional behavior by him.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Yes, Chris Finch said unprofessional by our guy Tony Brothers out of the 757, Booker T High, Old Dominion, long-time esteemed referee. Never unprofessional is our next guest. You know him from the Minor Draft News and College Basketball News, and a guest of ours for many, many years. He is in Minnesota. Chris Mantra with us. Chris, good to have you back on the show. What did you make of last night? They were talking about it the day before, or I should say yesterday, with the Lakers and its whole issues with officiating and SGA and the Thunder. And now today we wake up and all the talk is about this beef between Tony Brothers and the Wolves coach Chris Finch during game number 3.
Yeah, maybe I'm in the minority. I'm talking to a former coach, but I maybe in the very minority. I really don't even know most of the refs. The only refs usually I know are the ones you probably don't want to know about. The ones that call a lot of things. Like Scott Foster is very unpopular in Minnesota. I think Minnesota fans, and I try to be somewhat neutral. Feel that he's always out to get Minnesota. I'm sure there are other cities probably that say the same thing about Foster, but Tony Brothers is one of those other referees that I definitely know the name. Like I said, I probably should know more of them because I go to every Wolves game, but unless they're egregious, I really don't care who they are. I just want you to do your job. And, sometimes I feel like letting players get away with everything sometimes is okay if you're not going to blow the whistle, but I feel like I kind of look at it the other way. I feel like if you call whistles right away, then players are smart enough to realize, hey, I don't want to foul out. I don't want to be on the bench in the first quarter with 2 or 3 fouls. So I sometimes feel like if you call things early, you kind of clean up the game. But, yeah, definitely that was a very strange situation. I was at the game last night. And, again, that it's becoming very prevalent. You look at teams like Oklahoma City. Everybody thinks that they get every call. Having seen them a lot during the regular season, of course, last year in the playoffs in the Western Conference Finals. I love Shea, but he does get seemingly every call. Jokic, he was just here against Minnesota in the first round with Denver, and they seemingly get every call. And you're right. I think that's something that the NBA is going to have to try and clean up the refereeing as much as possible. But it was an exciting game. If you watched, the game was kind of ugly. Minnesota scored 1 point for seemingly forever, but was able to rally kind of to 1 at the end of the first quarter. And then at halftime, they were actually tied, but they got out to another flat third quarter and just weren't able to rally. Now they're down 2-1 and play on Sunday. To be honest, kind of a must win for Minnesota if they want to get back in this series.
Yeah, great assessment there, Chris, because the Wolves knock out Denver for the second time in 3 years, and Edwards gives them 32, 14, and 6 points, boards, and assists. But the alien that is Victor Wembanyama, just too much, at 39 points, 15 rebounds, 5 blocks. Bad calls or no bad calls, that guy's a difference maker for the Spurs in the paint. That's for sure, Coach.
First of all, Chris, it is great to see you. We haven't seen you in a couple years. And remember now, we're your biggest loyal fan here.
I appreciate that, definitely.
On the whole East Coast, and you kind of forsaken us. So now what has been going on with you? Your health is good, everything's okay. Until let me know that first, and I'm going to get back into this.
Yeah, definitely the health good. Actually, a little bit of a career change for me. As you probably know, the industry of sports and sports reporting and what you guys are doing has totally changed. If I had told you guys would be, doing a kind of a podcast and things like that, 10, 15 years ago, you would have looked at me like you're crazy. And I look at a lot of things I see online. So many are AI written, and to be honest, I always feel like they're terrible. I like to think I put a lot of pride and a lot of work, and sometimes now looking back in my life, it's like, if I look at how much time I used to do a newsletter that you guys got, I probably mailed 1,000 of them. I print them, collate them, put staples in them. put a stamp on it, a label. Sometimes when you look back, it's like, geez, I probably made like $1 an hour after you consider all the time I put into it. So I still enjoy the sports, go to every Timberwolf game, go to every Twins game, go to a few Wild games. I'm actually going to the playoff game tonight. But I've always been super good at math. I like to think nobody is faster at math than me. So I actually was getting a new iPhone last year, and there was a mathnasium. It's like a math tutoring place. And I thought I should stop in there. My girlfriend always says, and my girlfriend's a teacher, and she goes, you should teach math, how fast you are at doing math. Because what I do with my kids that I tutor is I have them take a 2-digit number times a 2-digit number or any number and multiply it. Before they hit equal, I always try to shout out the answer, and usually I can always beat them. So they always want to know how to do it. So I've been doing that for like a year, and a lot of the kids actually said, oh, I wish you were a regular teacher. So to be honest, in December, I actually got fingerprinted, got certified, and I've been substituting as a teacher for the last 5 months. So I've really enjoyed it. I like working with the little kids. I don't know if I have enough endurance for the hormones. I taught in the middle school yesterday, and they have a lot of hormones. So I don't know. I feel like the elementary kids like to listen a little bit better, but still doing a lot of sports. Would love to do more, but it's kind of a little bit of a second career late in life, but I've really enjoyed it so far.
Ed, you cannot make this up. Chris and I have been texting for a week. He has no idea this is true. You and me both have started doing this because, as you mentioned, changed my parent company that I write for and then the publisher for. We went through a merger with another company. As you touched on, Ed was actually against this whole podcast idea when we started a couple of years ago. Now he loves it, which we're televised in addition to being on podcast. But you and me both, I'm actually a substitute teacher 2 or 3 days a week myself.
Oh, funny.
In Virginia Beach, doing this just as an extra supplement, and I enjoy it, being around the kids. I was in the office yesterday at a high school in Virginia Beach, but he can't believe this. He's dealing with 2 other teachers. Well, Ed, by the way, not back in coaching. Ed took his hiatus for a year from Nance, whatever, after 20-plus years, and is now going into his second year as the coach at Smithfield, and he does some substitute teaching as well. So we got 3 substitute teachers.
There we go.
And Ed was in timeout more times than not as he shakes his head over here. Go ahead. Continue.
I'm laughing. I laugh because when this knucklehead told me he was going into substitute teaching, I said, I wish I was the fly on the wall because drive him nuts, and that he's never going to drive them nuts. And he's had some stories of some accidents, some kids. And now Chris Monter in the classroom, those kids have to have smoke coming out of their ears.
Well, most of the kids, the boys especially, like me because I can talk sports with them, and like I said, I always like to show off my math skills. I always hand the kids my calculator and see if they can beat me, and they never can. So that's the one thing I like. Even when I watch basketball, I always think, God, I wish I were an announcer sometimes, because like the other day, Minnesota's playing 103-98 in the playoff game against San Antonio, game 1, and there's like a little less than 2 minutes to go. And maybe because I'm a numbers person and math person, thinking, and I never hear announcer announce this, and I always think I would do this if I were an announcer, is I look at it as Minnesota, if you can score 5 points in 1 minute and 40 seconds, you're going to win the game. Because there's no way the other team likely is going to score 10 points unless something crazy happens, So I always kind of look at it that way. I know they have that Elam ending that they sometimes have, like with the All-Star game for a while, but I always kind of look at it that way, and I'm always surprised, and like, if a guy shoots 71% from the free throw line, I know the odds of him making both free throws, 50.41%, because 71 times 71 is 50.41. So I would look at it differently than maybe other people, So if you're going to hack somebody at the end, you want to hack somebody, obviously, a Shaq or a Rudy Gobert or somebody like that. But I always wish that they would incorporate a little more math into the broadcast. But that's one thing even football, I always look at it. If you're up by 3 touchdowns, that means the other team has to score, stop you, and score. So if there's 10 minutes, that means you got to score in 2 minutes, stop them in 2 minutes, etc. Or you're going to lose. And, I always think it'd be kind of cool if announcers would think that way and maybe explain it to fans that, hey, you need to rush. And I always see NFL teams, especially the Vikings, people always get critical that they go super slow at the end of the game when they're losing. It's like, well, you got no chance if you're going super slow. You got to get out of the huddle fast.
Well, it's funny, too, Chris, because Ed asked me during the PIT, which we got to broadcast, privileged to do on television here for the Hampton Roads market and worldwide for Prep Spin. He's like, where's our guy, Chris Monter? I think it was the next day or not long after that you texted me. We've been texting ever since. Right. But I want to get your take, and I'll let Coach jump back in here in a second, too. you've seen a lot of great players over the years. You've covered high school, college, pro, the Monitor Draft News, college basketball news, everything you've done. Have you ever seen a player in person, which you now have, like Victor Wembanyama, and what makes him so unique from seeing him live and in person? To kind of break it down for us if you can.
Yeah, I was just saying LeBron was the best player I'd ever seen. Before it was Kevin Garnett was the best high school player I ever saw. Then I said LeBron was the best high school player. But Victor Wembanyama is just so tall and lanky. Like the first game, he had 12 blocks against Minnesota, and Minnesota, after looking at the tape, was convinced that 4 of them were goaltending. But he's so tall and can jump so well because he has those long arms, you can't really tell if they're goaltending. So there were several last night that the people around me were all sure they were goaltending, and it's like, I can't really tell because he's so dang high up in the air. So you're right. He makes an amazing impact. Obviously, he struggled in game 1, maybe settled a little bit too much for the threes, 0 for 8. Maybe, again, the Spurs are a very talented team, but they're a super young team. And I think that's one thing they're going to learn from this. Maybe they don't beat Oklahoma City this year, but, you get all those young players like Castle and all the Johnson, and you maybe add some more experience, maybe some veterans next year. This is going to be a team, I think Oklahoma City and them. I know Minnesota fans aren't going to like to hear it because we've made the Western Conference Finals the last few years, but it's going to be tough to get by either of those teams. But you're right. He's just incredible when you see him, on the court. You saw a couple times where he blocks shots without even jumping. He's just so long. So, yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see a player quite like him for a long time. And, that's not something you say just flippantly, but, he's so incredible to watch. And you look how skinny he is, and you figure he's never going to be a bruiser. But if he can continue to add more muscle, he's going to be even more dominant. And you just hope he can stay healthy. That's the one knock on him. You see him get hurt a little bit. But if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to obviously be one of the best players ever.
Yeah, it could be frightening, Ed.
Yeah, Chris, he's definitely one of a kind. I think there are more coming like him. I've seen some reports on some 6'10", 6'11", high school kids, some foreign kids over there in the NBA's African developmental type league that can really handle the ball and all that too. I think he's one of a few that are coming. And the thing with him, sometimes the bigger you are, the more bumbling you are and whatever. He's not. He can lead a break. He can stop a break. He's a one-man wrecking crew against your break. He can dunk on you. He can hit the 3 on you. He can cross you up. He does so many different things and he's got the people around him, as you mentioned, a young team. The only thing about that young team, and probably Castle more than anybody else, and I watched the game last night, Castle's starting to get a little bit more into the pushing and shoving, and then T was responding back. McDaniel, obviously, one of them, I forget the other guy's name, that they have to be careful. And sometimes you get that with a young team. Hey, we're not going to be punked around. Okay, you're right, but let's play the game first. And looking at this, I picked San Antonio in 7. I went all the way with 7 because of Minnesota's experience, San Antonio's lack of experience, and I do think it's going to go. But I'm like you. If Minnesota doesn't win that next game, it could be done quicker.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have to win that because you don't want to be down 3-1, then all of a sudden you got to win 3 straight, especially 2 in San Antonio. That would be very tough. But I definitely think Minnesota is a team capable of bouncing back. This is a team that has kind of lollygagged at times. I thought during the regular season the last couple of years, they've been a number 6 seed this year and last year. They were a 3 seed the year before, but has been able to overcome the odds and make it to the Western Conference the last 2 years. So you're right. I think they can definitely use that experience. I mean, you look at, I think the other day, Anthony Edwards actually became the all-time leading playoff in terms of games played in Minnesota. He became the all-time leader. So that shows you that, to be honest, we haven't had a ton of success. It was Kevin Garnett. And I looked the other day, because Facebook, I was going to kick out of somebody was saying, is this one of the greatest Minnesota Timberwolves teams in history? It's like, okay, they're not even one of the best in their history. And I looked it up. Of the 30 teams, where do you think Minnesota ranks win and loss record of all time of the current 30, despite having 3 great years in a row?
Probably like 26th.
29th. They finally passed Charlotte. So that just shows you how little success. I mean, I've been to a lot of years where they won 13, 14, 17, 19 games, when you had tickets, you could not even, it's like, if you won the giveaway tickets, you would say, here's $40 and 4 tickets. Take them both, So, yeah. So it's obviously become a lot more fun, and obviously it's a fun time. You mentioned a little bit about the hockey. I'm not like a huge hockey fan, but I have tickets for tonight's game. But there's only 13 NHL, NBA teams in the same city, and there's only 2 right now that are both in the playoffs, and that's Minnesota and Philadelphia. And unfortunately, Philadelphia is 3-0 in both basketball and hockey, so they're probably going to get eliminated fairly soon. So it is kind of cool that Minnesota's the only one of those teams, and of those 13 teams, we're the only one besides, I think, Florida that doesn't share an arena. Madison Square Garden, TD Garden for Boston, Philadelphia, Detroit, all those cities share an arena. Here we have Minnesota, which plays at the Target Center downtown, which hopefully we'll get a new building because that one's kind of antiquated. It's over 36 years old. And then they have the Wild play in St. Paul. So a lot of excitement about the playoffs. Our baseball team, the Twins, are doing nothing, no interest at all in them, even though I have tickets. But I think there's been a lot of buzz, obviously, because of the hockey and the NBA going on. And obviously the Wild need to win tonight. They're down 2-0 against a terrific Colorado team. But a lot of fun if you're a Minnesota sports fan.
Yeah, that game of the night, Chris, with the Wild and Avalanche, it was back and forth, the goals galore, just craziness with all the scoring in that one game. And, they came off a tough series with Dallas. They won in 6 games, but this Colorado team, much like we talk about with OKC and the Spurs, I mean, they look like they're almost unbeatable, but they've had a really good year like the Wolves getting to the second round. Fan bases always expect more, even though sometimes you run into a team that's a juggernaut like we see with the Avalanche and like we see with OKC, what they're doing against the Lakers.
Right. And again, we talked about the lack of success for the Timberwolves throughout the years, but this is actually the first year, which is almost incredible to say out loud, that the Timberwolves and the Wild have advanced to the second round the same year. So usually, Minnesota Wild haven't got out in the first round the last 10 years. And Minnesota in basketball, we had a stretch of, I want to say it was 14 years where they didn't even make the playoffs, which seemingly you would think would be impossible not to make it once out of 14 years. But yeah, like I said, a lot of fun now as a sports fan here. Love to see them win a title because no Minnesota team's won a title since 1991. When the Twins won, they won in 87. The Vikings have never won, despite being in 4 Super Bowls. The Wild have never won. And, of course, the Timberwolves have never even made it to the finals. So it would be kind of fun to see that. But you're right. A lot of great competition, especially in the Western Conference with Oklahoma City and San Antonio. I know a lot of Minnesota fans would love to move to the Eastern Conference if a Seattle or a Vegas gets a team. Because, unfortunately, like even, last night's game started at 8:45 Central. It's kind of a late night. And we had a couple games that started even late. We had one game against Denver that started at 9:30 locally here. It was on the road. But, if you're a fan, it means you're up till after 12 just to watch the games.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to some conference realignment there, Ed. We hear the chatter about it with baseball. You mentioned your Twins there, Kirby Puckett, his great blast as they won the Fall Classic. But it could maybe happen with an expansion team in basketball. Last one for me, I'll let Ed finish up with you here, Chris. We have the draft coming up, the lottery this weekend. Who's going to get the number 1 pick? All kinds of talk about that. I am curious what your take is, regardless of who gets that number 1 pick. You watched the college game rather closely with a keen eye. AJ DeBonsa, BYU, and Darren Peterson of Kansas, the 2 main guys there. Is there one you would prefer over the other, or is it all about fitting your eyes, whoever gets that? There's been some chatter even that sort of like Eli Manning with the Chargers years ago, and he went to the Giants, that if the Kings get it, that DeBonsa might not play for them. We know about the whole situation with Peterson this year and his health. What's your take on the whole number 1 pick in the lottery coming up?
Yeah, again, it's going to be a draft dominated by younger players. As you mentioned, both of those players were freshmen. You look at Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. I think you can see maybe as many as the top 6 picks all be one and dones. And I remember the day, and I kind of wish they would go back to that when high school players could be drafted, because I feel like, to be honest, if you look back at that list, Kevin Garnett, LeBron James, Tracy McGrady, Jermaine O'Neal, a lot of those players were very good players, Dwight Howard, and to be honest, a lot of them are or will be all-stars. There were some that didn't make it, but I feel like even now, if you're a college coach, it's got to be tough because you're working so hard to get that player to play for you. And now with NIL and all the money, that's, to be honest, a little crazy. It kind of made me, to be honest, lose a little bit of my interest. I still love it, but not as much because, I remember the days where you'd be a freshman, you play 5-10 minutes a game. The sophomore, you play 15-20. Then as a junior, senior, you were expected to carry the team. The very first year I went to, they used to have the Orlando Classic right after the Portsmouth Invitational. That year I went, 1990. That year there were, of the 27 first-round picks, 25 were seniors. That just shows you how the draft has changed over the years. And then you had the foreign kids and the high school kids. So it's definitely changed. But you're right. It's going to be a young player draft. And you're right. Now more than ever, the kids really control so much where they play, where they sign, and possibly, like you said, could be where they land in the NBA. I don't think we'll see that. We've never seen that like we have seen with football with, John Elway, even before Eli Manning and other players trying to, determine where they go. But I think you're right. I think the BYU kid will go number one. Peterson is trying to clean up his image a little bit because a lot of people were critical of, how many games he missed. But it turns out maybe it was a creatine issue where he took something that maybe didn't work the right way with his body. But you're right. It's going to be a draft dominated by a young player. This week is the Chicago Combine, and we'll learn, like you said, the draft order because of the lottery coming up this week.
Yeah, it should be exciting. A bunch of freshmen, Ed, and even if you don't get Devonta or Peterson, you're going to get a darn good player because you got Wilson, as Chris mentioned, Darius Acuff at Arkansas, and so many more.
Well, and Chris knows this as well as anybody. There's guys overseas. I mean, Victor wasn't known greatly, and then boom, now everybody in the world knows him. So there's people. Chris, any idea of some guys overseas that might be a top 4 or 5 pick if you kept up with it, or too much?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're right, and I will be not surprised to see like guys who look like a Jokic, players from that part of the country, who are physical freaks. I mean, you look at how big he is, how strong he is, and how well he runs the floor, his passing ability, can shoot from the outside. And the game, like you said, you look at Luka Doncic, you look at all the great players, Antetokounmpo, so many great players, and that has changed. I remember being in Portsmouth, a million years ago, and one NBA team, this shows you how the league has changed. We would never draft a foreign player. That was the mentality. You just, there were so many questions, so many risks, but now you look, and to be honest, a lot of those players, and we've seen that even with the All-Star game, when you have, world versus USA, how many of those players have turned out to be great players. And obviously you look how many MVPs, Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, etc. I think Doncic, could win one. Shea Gilgeous, Canadian, but obviously not born in the United States. So it just shows you how the game has changed. And that's the fun thing about being in this sport, like you guys, and especially with the draft, like I said, it was all seniors, then it was high school players, then it's foreign, now it's one and done. So the league, knows where its bread and butter comes from, and have adapted many, many times, and probably will adapt even more times in the future.
Also, Chris, what is your look at the rest of the NBA playoffs, and when it's all said and done, what 2 teams fighting for the title and who wins it all?
Yeah, to be honest, if I had to put money on it, I would bet on a Western Conference team. You look at Boston, a lot of people thought Boston could maybe get by. I mean, I thought Detroit being down 3-1 was dead, to be honest, and they have some Minnesota ties with Suggs, who's a Minnesota kid. So I was kind of rooting for them. Detroit, they're a team kind of like San Antonio in a way, just a team that's had great success in the regular season, but hasn't been able to carry it off in the postseason yet. They're still very young. Maybe getting shocked in that first round gives them, and I thought Cleveland would maybe give them a little tougher time than they have so far. So I think probably Detroit, New York. New York's, battle tested. They got a lot of veterans. I could see them winning that, to be honest. And the West, say if San Antonio wins, and I thought Minnesota after game 1 could win this series. I still think they could, but you have to give San Antonio the edge, up 2-1 and having 2 more home games. And I think Oklahoma City just shows how dominant they are. But that should be a great series, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, if that happens. That could be a 7-game series. I still would take Oklahoma City. I think having that experience, makes a big difference. And again, I think whoever comes out of the West, I would take over who comes out of the East.
Yeah, but I think we're all looking forward to a possibility. I know Minnesota, they're not. If we get an OKC Thunder because of what happened, OKC Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs regular season, the Spurs beating them and Wemby being so young. But in the East, it feels like the Knicks now are head and shoulders. Although the Pistons played them tough, as you well know, last year, and they're up 2 games to love on James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and the Cavaliers. Well,
right. And Oklahoma City, I think Oklahoma City Spurs could be fun because you have Holmgren, Chet Holmgren, another Minnesota kid, and he played against Victor Wembanyama quite a bit in international competition. So those two have kind of a little friendly rivalry. So that could be a fun series because they're both, 7-footers. You can play outside, 7-footers plus. They can play outside, can hit threes, can block shots. So that'd be kind of a fun series, like you said.
Absolutely. Well, it's always a pleasure catching up with you, my friend. We look forward to talking again here soon. Perhaps get you on during the finals and enjoy the game tonight, the hockey and then the basketball. Got a full weekend of Minnesota sports with the Wild and the T-Wolves.
Yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, like I said, Wolves last night, Wild tonight, Wolves tomorrow. So it should be fun. And good luck with those kids. Keep them in control, okay?
I will try as long as I don't let Ed discourage me. I'm gonna stay after you too. Enjoy with the math and numbers. And we'll talk again soon.
Look forward to it. Thanks again, guys.
Get the tickets for the Twins versus Yankees. Sit out in left field and catch me an Aaron Judge home run ball.
I will try that. Yeah. Nice thing about the Twins game, you pretty much can name your own section. If you've seen any of the pictures of the games, and it's stupid because they had 17 home games in April, where I feel like we should have like 12. Yeah. But we had like a stretch where the weather was brutal and not fun for almost 3 or 4 straight weeks. So yes, the Yankees are one of the few series I'm definitely really looking forward to later this year. So I will try to do my best.
Good deal. Great catching up with you, and we'll talk again soon.
Look forward to it. Thanks to you guys. Have a great day.
You got Chris Monson with us here, longtime college basketball, NBA basketball, just a hoops junkie and an expert with us. Good having him on the program. We got one more segment to close out this episode of 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Again, like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube. And we'll be back to put the finishing touches on this episode right here after this quick word from those that help make it possible. Stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the Plex, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are two guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV with Coach Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield. What do you ask for the pool, man? You got the pool. Got to see a little pool. Why are you shaking your head? It's been a pretty full show. We thank Chris Monter for coming on. Also, interview guests like Matt Williams of Maury, the Vanderbilt commit, Lincoln Holiday of Oscar Smith. We talked a lot about retirement. Ed's not doing that. He's sticking around. And we covered all our bases, I think. Did we leave anything out on this particular episode that we were supposed to address? I think we hit on everything we were supposed to, right?
I think here.
Why is your mic super low, or is it me? Are you away from your – let's see if we hear low. You're like super low. Let's see if we hear you better now. Try it.
All right. Testing.
Oh, much better. Yeah, you're much louder. You sounded like I could barely whisper level.
Somebody had turned it down on the low. I just noticed it.
You better tell your dog to stop messing with the keyboard keys.
No, you're the one controlling the button, so I got a feeling you turned it down.
I'm not controlling you from here. I can't do that. We did get a trade, by the way, just happened. The Guardians are bringing in catcher Patrick Bailey from San Francisco, trading a draft choice for him, and a left-handed pitching prospect, Matt Wilkinson, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN. So there you have it, a little baseball. There you go. Pearls of wisdom. Yeah, we love it, Woody. Pearls of wisdom. As Steve Keller once told us, pearls of wisdom coming out of those ruby lips. We got that somewhere, don't we? We have it, right? Pearls of wisdom. Here we go. Hold on, we got it. Here we go. We got to find it.
Long-running high school.
One thing about you two is you never shut up. If you listen to you guys, there's always pearls of wisdom coming out of them ruby lips somewhere, and it's the way it's supposed to be. One thing about you two is you never.
Yeah, there you go. We never shut up. Pearls of wisdom coming out of ruby lips. There you go.
Ruby lips has to be. He's talking about. Got to be talking about you because I don't wear lipstick, so.
Oh, come on. I don't wear lipstick. Don't go there.
When you're teaching elementary kids, you got to play the role. And I can see you dressing up as a woman with the lipstick and coming in with the kids.
I do not dress up. I don't play dress up. No, that's
like a Medea type. I can see it.
I don't do Medea. I don't do dress up. That's not my boat. But it's 12 Eastern now, and that means we're going to bid adieu. We thank all of you for tuning in. Any final parting shots or words there, Edward?
Will we have any retirements this week?
We might. You never know. You might.
Can't take it. We had too many here lately, and wish them all well. But it's going to be the landscape is changing, and time marches on, waits for nobody. All those cliche talk. So, like somebody once said, we're born to die, and a lot of things happen in between.
Yep, some sooner than later. We'll see if the Brew Crew can beat the Yanks again today with Harrison against Schlittler on the hill.
I think the Yankees can get today, but in the back of my mind, after watching that game last night, I said, could they be swept in Milwaukee?
Oh, it'd be great.
You know?
We'll find out.
I think, though, today they'll get it. They've had some great bounce back, and I think they'll be able to take care of today. So let's keep our fingers crossed. What's on tap for the basketball? Who's playing today in the NBA?
You got Cavs, Pistons, game number 3, and you got, of course, game number 3, Lakers and Thunder. I feel I did all the whining. But that's going to do it. We thank all of our guests, and we hope you all enjoy, especially all the moms out there, have a happy Mother's Day weekend and enjoy your sports weekend. And we'll talk to you next time right here on Cova Sports TV. See you later.